So today we're going to talk about something kind of different. How an art form as ancient as poetry can actually be a guide for getting through some of our most modern problems, specifically trauma. We're going to see how these words on a page can be more than just expression. They can be a real tool for restoration. Let's dive in. And that really brings us to the core question here. I mean, think about it. In a world that's so loud, so full of digital noise, and really complex struggles, can something as quiet and old as poetry actually connect with our deepest wounds? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore. The book we're drawing from is called The New Testament Psalm. And what's so fascinating about it, and what this quote really gets at, is its whole approach. It's not trying to be a preachy religious text. Instead, it's just a collection of poetic thoughts. It's like a guide for anyone out there who's just trying to find some meaning in the middle of all this modern chaos. All right, so where does a journey like this even start? Well, any path to healing has to begin by looking our wounds straight in the eye. So the very first step in this poetic guide is all about just that, acknowledging the reality of our pain and not shying away from it. And this is a really, really crucial point. The poetry we're talking about isn't some escape from reality. Nope. It does the exact opposite. It confronts it head on. It gives a voice to those struggles that are often so raw, so hard, and just so deeply personal. And just look at the kinds of wounds it talks about. It really covers the whole map of modern trauma, doesn't it? We're talking about everything from abuse that's been suffered in silence and the shadow of addiction to the very modern pain of trying to find love in digital shadows. It really touches on those wars we fight inside ourselves and all those pressures from the outside world. And it uses this incredible metaphor, the body as a battleground. It's such a powerful way to talk about those internal fights so many of us have with body image and our own self-worth. It kind of reframes the whole thing. This isn't just about vanity, right? It's a genuine battle for self-acceptance. And then it goes even deeper into our spiritual struggles. But it uses this mythic language to do it. It talks about those internal battles we have with pride or with doubt as us falling for a mad angel's lie. It's just a really powerful, poetic way of describing that universal fight between our best selves and our own inner demons. Okay, so you face the pain. Now what? Well, this brings us to the absolute heart of the journey, restoration. This is where things really shift, because now the poetry stops being just a mirror reflecting our pain and starts being a tool for our healing. You know, I just love this idea. The source actually calls these poems spells of restoration. How cool is that? The whole point is that they aren't just passive words you read, they're supposed to be active guides. They're like a map to help you navigate the maze of trauma and ultimately help you reclaim your own story. And this really shows you how practical this all is. This isn't just fluffy, abstract stuff. The poetry actually gives you a real framework with clear, actionable steps. It's a path that starts with something as simple and fundamental as just breathing and leads all the way to the incredibly courageous act of speaking hope out loud. And here you can really see that transformation in action. On one side, you have the wounds, like that hidden fire of anger that can get passed down for generations. And then on the other, you see the restoration, forgiveness, but it's reframed as a quiet rebellion, a way to finally break that cycle. It's about moving from a place where you're sacrificing pieces of yourself to a place where you're reclaiming who you are. The guide also gets into the search for faith, but probably not in the way you're thinking. It's less about doctrine and more about a very personal journey. It emphasizes a kind of faith that can exist even without proof. A hope that can stand up against despair, and choosing to find inner peace over waiting for some big external miracle. It's all about finding that strength inside yourself. So, after all this, where do we end up? We've gone from the pain through the healing, and now we get to the final part of this whole process, learning how to turn our suffering into a song. And wow, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The big idea here is that suffering isn't a dead end. It's not the end of the story. It's actually the beginning. It's the raw material that you can use to build something new, to transform. But here's something really important to remember. This guide doesn't promise easy answers or quick fixes. Instead, it offers something that might be even more valuable: companionship. It validates how hard the struggle is and just kind of walks alongside you, offering hope without ever dismissing your pain. And I just think this is such a beautiful way to put it. The poems are like the sacred songs of survivors, of people who have endured and made it through. And the final message is really an open invitation, inviting you to add your own voice to that chorus of resilience. Which brings us to one last final question for you. After thinking about this journey from wound to song, think about your own story. If you're going to write your own poem, your own psalm of healing and restoration, what would you call it?